Happy Easter from Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's actually nice enough to sit outside today. Today I wanted to talk to you about a different kind of fear that we Christians have that unbelievers don't have. I'll explain what I mean. You know that there are four stories about the resurrection in the Bible: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Four different accounts of the same story. And of course, each story kind of focuses on different things. But what I think is very interesting, and what's so useful for you and me today is the fear response of the different people. For example, in the book of Matthew, we read that the angel comes down from heaven, and the guards who are guarding the tomb of Jesus, when they see that angel, it says they become so afraid they shake and they become as dead men. That means, of course, they passed out from fear. That's the worst kind of fear, just total pass out. But then it also says in the book of Mark that Mary was alarmed when she saw that angel. And the angel said, "Don't be alarmed." And then she listened to what he said. And then in the book of Luke, same idea. The women see this angel and they fall down on their heads to worship. And the angel says, "Don't worry, Jesus is alive." And then in the book of John, we see that Mary, when she realizes, she thinks she's talking to a gardener, but it's actually Jesus. And when she realizes it's him, he says her name, Mary, and then she grabs onto him. And he says, "Do not hold on to me now. I have not yet ascended to the Father." Now, isn't that interesting that the guards, I think they represent the unbelievers, and they shook and fell down, passed out from fear. And in the other situations, they are scared, of course, but they don't pass out. In fact, in one instance, Mary grabs on. So that says a lot about how the way you and I should be in fear. And on this Easter Sunday, let's remember this, that unbelievers are always afraid of one thing, that God will come. Oh, what if God comes? Oh, I'll be so scared. But sometimes we Christians get that wrong, and we think, oh, what if God comes? Well, actually, God cannot come. I mean, he's already in you if you're a Christian. You don't have to worry about him coming. He's already inside you, and you're inside of him. So it's such a silly idea. So why do we say we live in the fear of God? Let me explain. You know, I've said this before, but it always bears repeating. We live in the fear of God, which means I know that I'm a certain person who could do something, say something, even think something that would make God think, maybe Larry doesn't want me to be around anymore. And so every day I have to say, God, please don't get that wrong idea from me. I live in that fear that God will leave. We see that in the story, the believers were not afraid that Jesus was coming. They were afraid that he was gone. They were afraid that they lost him. Do you see the difference? And so what you and I want to keep in mind today, very important, that we will feel afraid of all kinds of things. I mean, we're human. But Jesus says, do not be afraid. In other words, don't become fear to the point where you can't live. So please hear me today. Jesus rose from the dead so that your fears can be managed. They don't have to overtake you. He rose from the dead so you could have hope about the virus. And by the way, don't ever put your hope in just silly things like because I hope or whatever. We put our hope in the resurrection of the dead. The fact that Jesus rose from the dead means even if, God forbid, one of us would die from the virus, God will raise us from the dead. That is where we put our hope. That is why we can live with a different kind of fear, a godly fear. Happy Easter from Fort Wayne, and God bless all of you. See you soon. Bye-bye.